All right, now we're back with some climate news here at the Grand Solar Minimum channel. Witness a broken wind turbine caused several 100-acre fire. And why is this in our broadcast tonight? Well, we continue to talk about the costs of solar and wind, and what dangers do wind turbines serve, you say? Well, we got to worry about the bird population, that several birds do lose their lives because of these windmills here, these turbines. And also, I've seen video of these turbines simply just disintegrating right there in the middle of these fields. Thankfully, there's no buildings, there's no moving traffic around these turbines or anything like that. So these giant pieces from this turbine fall to the ground without hurting or injuring or damaging anything. But I found this article today talking about a large wildfire started because of this turbine. Now, out in the middle of nowhere, the juniper fire is now 40% contained, according to a press release. The fire is mostly burning in Pine Creek drainage area south of Bickleton, Washington. As of Sunday evening, the fire has burned over 242 acres. Again, that's not a lot. 39 structures are threatened by the fire, but no structures have burned. The Pine Creek drainage area is under level 3 evacuation. Crews fighting the fire up against a 28-mile-an-hour wind gust with low humidity, which is ideal for fire weather, folks. 201 total people are working on the fire. Resources will continue to arrive overnight. According to a press release, officials said the cause of the fire is still under investigation. A wildfire in southern Washington has been burned more than 350 acres. This was updated yesterday. And now they are saying the smoke was reported coming from a generator from the wind turbine of Bickleton, Washington. And it looks like Tate County here in Washington. According to a new release from the county emergency management, fire engulfed the turbine about 300 feet above the ground, causing melted pieces to fall to the ground, igniting grass and brush. According to the release, gusty winds helped spread the wildfire, called the juniper fire, and between 350 and 500 acres by Saturday evening. By 10 p.m., the fire was estimated to be 20% contained. 3 residents were put on a level 3 evacuation notification. Firefighters were stationed at the residences overnight, so very remote area. So why is this making the news? Just like the crop damage that we're seeing in Thailand. It's only 80,000 acres, you say. That's just 80,000 more acres to add to the total so far of crop damage. And here we have another report of, I've seen tons of videos of these turbines just catching fire, malfunctioning, disintegrating, falling to the ground in pieces. And here, it's responsible for a wildfire. Not a large one, okay? The damage is minimal, but these are part of the dangers of these wind turbines. Now, who knows what the cause of this was? It could be improper maintenance, which, a lot of these people think you just pop in the ground and let it go. That's it. And that's not the case at all. My question too is, if we're going to put all these wind turbines in everywhere, this should be creating jobs, right? We should have people maintaining these things on a regular basis, right? If we're going to have these put up and funded by taxpayer dollars anyway, this is kind of negligence, in my opinion. Field where maybe is not monitored on a weekly basis, at least, if not daily, just for this particular situation right here, so it doesn't happen. Like I said, fortunately, this is a remote area. No one was hurt, damaged, or anything like that. But again, just another piece of proof of how this green energy solution really has a lot of kinks to work out before we start implementing policies that ban oil, natural gas, and coal. And when I read the actual numbers on where our energy comes from. It was interesting to me because the New York State is passing a new policy that will ban natural gas, coal, and oil. By the way, 85% of the electricity we get is from those three sources. So the other 15% come from the combination of nuclear and hydro, and about 1 to 2% of our energy is coming from solar fields and wind turbines. I'm just trying to figure out how, last time I checked, a coal plant didn't have pieces of its plant collapsing and falling apart to the ground and causing wildfires. Same with natural gas plants. Yeah, they're dangerous. If you're not properly trained to work in them, you could cause probably a pretty catastrophic event if you don't know what you're doing out there. But these people are highly trained. They just don't hire anybody out there. I'm positive of it. The screening process is probably insane if you want to be a coal miner or any kind of natural gas field worker, oil rig worker. That's tough, hard work, guys. That's not just get out of high school and you go apply anywhere and they just hire you because you had a good interview. There is specialties required. And I feel like that if you're going to try to implement green energy, you have to hire special people to monitor these fields, these turbines, to maintenance them, to make sure that we don't have a reoccurring issue with these turbines just falling to the ground, collapsing, destroying the area around it. How fast does the new one get put up? How much investigation goes into one of these turbines blowing up? And oh, by the way, this solar power here is supposed to be so green it doesn't have any man-made CO2 emissions. Well, it doesn't have man-made at this point. It made its own CO2 emissions. But my point is, too many videos I've seen too many times where these turbines are either neglected and just left out into a field thinking they're just going to do their own thing and not properly maintenance and explode and cause damage like this. And this one happened to cause, look, 500 acres is a lot of acres to burn. It may not be the 300,000 acre fire that we've seen in the past, but still 500,000 acres burnt down because of maybe negligence of maintenance. We'll leave the link in the description. This one here, this is a good one. We always like to think that we all know what internet trolls are and how they live in mom and daddy's basement, and they live off of mommy and daddy. Mom and daddy buy them food, and mom and daddy also provide their internet, provide everything else for these little snowflakes who cause all these little problems here. But this guy here, a protester, is 20 years old. He's a green protester who caused chaos by gluing himself to a Brisbane street, still lives with his parents in a emission-spewing 5-bedroom mansion with an infinity pool. Extinction Rebellion protester Eric Serge Herbert glued himself to Brisbane Road. The 20-year-old former school captain moved to Sydney for uni but dropped out. He's now living with his parents in a 5-bedroom waterfront mansion in Queensland. The waterfront 5-bedroom, 4-bathroom mansion is Pelican Waters on the Sunshine Coast. Also comes with a freestanding aquarium, vacuum-made, and a triple-lot garage, and a pretty private jet as well. That's probably pretty, I'm sure. An average household in Australia emits 14 tons of carbon each year. While it can be hard to determine the exact carbon footprint of a household, it's widely accepted a larger house emits more. So if the average is 14 tons, we can only imagine how much this one puts out, if that even mattered in the first place. But Herbert has claimed on social media that he does not live with his parents. But during his first court appearance in June, The climate activist told the magistrate he lived with his parents who supported him. Now, a lot of you people out there are, people have said, well, if he lives with his parents, most people use their parents' address for court documentation. And I'll agree with you on that. But he actually told a magistrate that he lives at home where his parents support him. And what I find funny is that he was arrested for this little stunt here. And listen, I'm okay with protesting something you believe in. But the reason why that this little snowflake here mentioned to the magistrate that he lives with parents and that mommy and daddy support him, he is trying to paint the picture of poor little young me. Oh, I can't afford the court fines, for I have no job. I live at home with mom and dad. But yet I can go out and act like I know what I'm talking about and do stupid things like glue myself to a road, a crosswalk nonetheless, causing traffic issues, causing taxpayers to pay for the 911 call of, looks like 2 idiots here glued to the road. So now you've held up a police officer or 2, maybe 4 or 5. And now the fire department probably comes out on all 911 calls just like ours. Then you've got an ambulance on standby. Ambulance ride here in the United States costs about $1,500 just to ride down about 5 miles away from your house to a hospital. I can't imagine what it would cost overseas, especially in a country that's already paying higher prices for their energy. But again, this guy who acts like a big guy, big shot, big boy, he's wearing a onesie pajama outfit, folks. How can you take people serious about something like this? To me is just notoriety. This is about getting his face in the news. This is all about attention. It's part of the problem with this society, with our civilization nowadays. Everybody wants instant gratification and instant notoriety on something. You got to work for it. This guy doesn't know what that means because he's painted the picture to the magistrate. Oh, please, Your Honor, don't punish me. I'm just a little boy who still lives with his parents. But
what kind of accent is that?
It's a snowflake Australian accent, okay? That's what kind of accent it is. That's what the snowflake Australian sounds like. Please, sir. It's like an Oliver Twist.
Okay.
A mix between Oliver Twist and the Green Party snowflake, who glues themselves to the concrete.
Sorry, peanut gallery.
In a Walmart onesie animal character. Hey, I'm going to take my climate information serious from this guy right here. So we haven't done A-hole of the week in a while, and I think he gets it. He wins A-hole of the week. Not only does he live with his parents, but they have a mansion, waterfront property in Queensland, mansion. Good. And part of this whole green movement is about people who supposedly waste fossil fuel energy and who just burn fossil fuels irresponsible. But yet he lives in a mansion that probably takes about 3 to 6 times the power that it takes a normal household to be running, as far as that goes. I thought this was funny. So anyway, moving from ignorant news to some unfortunate news. I don't know if this link is available. Where? Yeah, nothing's happening. So anyway, this was
On the Twitter, if you don't know the Twitter.
It's an article. It is on the Twitter for Grand Solar Minimum. I briefly read up on it. It caught my interest because I know Matt, he's out there harvesting winter wheat now. He was showing me how the process was moving along. They're in the very beginning stages of it as of early last week. About a week ago from today is when they started harvesting. But this article, and I'm going to urge everyone to go to our Twitter account after the broadcast, area farmers could lose up to 90% of winter wheat crop. Very important information there. This was up in Ottawa as well. So we may have luck here in Nebraska harvesting, but some folks up north are not having such luck there. Here is our crop report for this week, ending in July 21st. Again, we've seen lots of heavy moisture in the south. Missouri, from Barry basically. These numbers here reflect the flooding and the moisture from that storm. 3 days of suitable work in Louisiana, 3.4 in Mississippi. Tennessee, 3.8. Ohio, you still got about a week's worth of work. Missouri, 5 days. The rest of the country's looking good. Minnesota, 3.8 days. That's about as far as the worst it gets is Louisiana with 3 days. Other than that, the rest of the country is in pretty good shape as far as suitable field work goes. Let's go ahead and check out the bulletin report here. Of course, the big one we're all waiting for is going to be when they resurvey in August. And we will check out the information from that resurvey. Again, here is the storm-related totals here from Hurricane Barry. I should say Tropical Storm Barry. It was a hurricane at Category 1 very briefly before turning back into...
I fixed that link if you wanted to click on it.
All right, thank you. On Tropical Storm Barry. So, anyway, moving through this crop report here real quick. Here we go. So the corn condition by percent starting to move up a little bit. But we notice in places like Indiana, poor condition crops for corn is 18%. Fair is 41% right now. 31% good and only 4% is in excellent shape. Ohio. You're about the same as Indiana. You're lower, actually. 31% is rated good. 42% is rated fair. 17% is in poor condition, while 6% of Ohio's corn crop is very poor. Let's check out Illinois. 39% is good. 39% is also fair. 14% in poor shape and 4% in very poor shape, with only 4% reporting in excellent shape. Another area that we're looking at low numbers, Missouri. %29 good, 39% fair, 20% poor, and 8% very poor. Now, I do believe the numbers for the corn crop are a little bit worse than we've probably been reporting in the past. Only 4% reported is excellent, by the way. So by far right now, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Missouri are looking at the worst corn crop conditions in the United States right now. Just 4 states. Michigan, you're number 5. 34% good, 37% fair, and 17% poor. So we'll make that state number 5 there. Everybody else is kind of in okay shape. Texas, obviously, you're in good shape. Tennessee's in good shape. Believe it or not, Pennsylvania, North Dakota, not so bad. 65% rated good. 28% rated excellent in Tennessee. So by far, Tennessee, and I've been saying this since we've been watching this crop report, Tennessee and Texas and Oklahoma have outshined the rest of this country this year as far as our crop report has come in. Of course, Oklahoma not even on the list right now, which either means to me they are coming in at really good numbers or it's just too bad to even report. Soybeans, take a look at that real fast. Arkansas, 38% rated good, 18% excellent. So about 56% there. Now, next month, they're expecting the good to excellent percent of crops to be below 55% nationwide, which is very troubling because last year, this time, we were at 75% good and excellent rated crops. Huge drop-off from last year. Fears about July's numbers are even worse. Soybean crops not doing much better in the states that are doing poor in corn. Ohio, you take the cake, 27% of your soybean crop is good. Only 3% is rated excellent. 42% is rated fair, and 20% rated poor, along with 8% very poor. So again, some very alarming news out of Ohio. Not only is your corn crops in bad shape, but as well as your soybean. Let's take a look, see who else kind of falls in that category that we need to kind of keep an eye on. Missouri, your situation with soybeans doesn't get much better from your crops and the corn. 42% rated fair, 13% poor, and 3% very poor. Let's take a look at Indiana. Their soybean situation about as bad as their corn. 32% rated good, 40% fair, 17% rated at 4, and 7% at very poor. Illinois, another low number, 40% good, 37% fair, 13% poor, and 5% very poor. By the way, Illinois' excellent is also 5%. So in some cases, some of these states have a better excellent percentage in their crops versus their very poor. But places like Indiana, the very poor outranks the excellent. Surprisingly, Louisiana does not. Michigan, same thing. The excellent outweighs the very poor. Missouri slightly edges the excellent with their very poor percentages higher, along with states like Ohio. And that looks like to be it, really. So, again, the soybean crop is doing a little bit better than what we've seen from our corn producers. Again, we'll leave the crop report here at thegrandsolarminimum.com. Let me go ahead and refresh this, folks. Bear with me here. All right. There we go.
Michigan.
Ottawa, Michigan. I said up north, so at least I didn't say Canada. Oak Harbor, a train whistle blasted the distance as Ron Laubacher did something he doesn't normally do. Sprint. One of the few Ottawa County farmers harvesting wheat last week, Laubacher needed to make it to the opposite side of the tracks or Benton Carroll Road before the train arrived. He had to talk to his friend, Lynn, a retiree who helps with the harvest. Time is precious this year for county farmers who are able to plant and are battling the elements to get their crops out of the ground. Trains periodically zip past the field on adjacent tracks. Threatening clouds and increasing chance of rain push Laubacher to finish fast. He says, "I could lose it if I don't get it done." And this is what he said last week. He also noted ominous clouds perched overhead and likelihood of afternoon thunderstorms. Heavy rains saturated fields this spring caused significant pain, with some farmers unable to plant at all, and others like Laubacher struggling to work around delayed planting schedules and tight harvesting windows. Winter wheat losses could range from 80 to 90% in Ottawa County here in Michigan, says Mike Libben, the administrator of Ottawa Soil and Water Conservation District. Libben also farms wheat. He lost half of his wheat crops this winter, with one field succumbing to this year's disastrous winter. So there you have just one example of a part of the country where we are seeing some major crop loss here. To hear 80 to 90% of the winter wheat crop could be lost. Over and over again, we've reported on this show, farmers have been battling the elements, the late plant. Some haven't even planted at all. Seems to be the headlines this year for 2019. And I know not all farmers are going through this right now. But let's admit for 1 minute, though, we have seen a lot more of this in our news than we have ever seen, that we could remember anyway. Well, let me take that back. You're not getting this information from mainstream media. You're getting this information from alternative media. That's what I'd like to consider ourselves. Most channels on YouTube are fantasy or just whatever, comedy. Some channels actually care about the truth and want to get information out, so there are some that you can rely on. I believe that's up to you to make up your mind on. I'm not going to sit here and give you a list of reputable channels that you should listen to and shouldn't listen to. But the point I'm making here is that nobody is talking about this in the mainstream media, yet we can still find these articles, if we dig for them, on our internet. So it's not fake news. It's just information that local media is reporting that the major national networks are refusing to report on. Plain and simple, folks. Plain and simple. All right, guys. Also wanted to bring this to everyone's attention. I'm going to read this word for word here. Thank you to Mari, by the way, who set this up. It says, I am starting this fundraiser for Dr. Valentina Zarkova and her research team. Her work pushes the boundaries of traditional science. She was one of very few who accurately predicted the low activity of solar cycle 24. Actual proof there. The next modern grand minimum of solar activity is upon us from 2020 to 2055. Her forecast should be used to help prepare society in making adaptations, address challenges that come with grand solar minimums. Looking at history, it is clear the Earth-Sun system goes through many different changes: weakened magnetosphere, disturbed weather patterns, cosmic ray, cloud nucleation, ocean oscillations, volcanism, etc., etc. Empires have risen and fallen with several grand cycles. We must learn from our history. Our food supply, our livelihood is directly threatened by these changes. Understanding and forecasting our sun's activity is important for all beings on this planet. Please support Dr. Zarkova's research. All money raised goes directly to her and her research team. Team Zarkova's latest research, oscillations of the baseline of the solar magnetic field and solar irradiance on a millennial timescale, clearly shows many AGW alarmists out there how warming is natural. And what she means by that is we found a warming of 0.5 degrees Celsius per 100 years over the next 600 years. Mari goes on and writes up a pretty nice little article here giving us proof, also referencing other folks as well. This group of alarmists is trying to get her paper unpublished. These men with their minds closed to real science hang on to AGW theories as if it were a religion. They are trying to take her paper down, though they exhibit very little understanding of the research behind SIM. Valentina Zarkova is a professor of mathematics at Northumbria. She has a BSc and an MSc in applied mathematics and astronomy and a PhD in astrophysics and a certificate in project management. She graduated from the National University of Kiev in Ukraine in 1975 with a BSc and an MSc first class with distinction degree in applied mathematics and physics joint honors. Key publications, also line for this recent one here with her team and scientific reports, and nature.com, non-thermal hydrogen line and continuum emission in solar flares generated by electron beams. Also gives the authors. It's Zarkova. This was March in 2019. And when we talk to Valentina, and by the way, go to this link here on the website. This will be able to show the people that are donating and why they are supporting Dr. Zarkova. And we have as well supported Dr. Zarkova. We made a donation to her for her work, for her research. And the reason why we wanted to start this for her is because of, so far, Dr. Valentina Zarkova has been bullied nonstop since her paper was released on June 24th here in 2019 on nature.com. Zarkova's work could be the beginning of many, many papers using this paper as an example of how to forecast solar cycles, the intensity, and what's coming to us in the future. This paper, in my opinion, is very, very important and could be a foundation of several more papers to be written in the future that will be related to climate and solar activity. So again, this is directly goes to Dr. Valentina Zarkova, and we have set a goal here already. So far, we've raised $200 for her. We just started this fundraiser this afternoon. So thank you to those who have already donated to a cause that, honestly, this woman well deserves. The abuse that she is taking, the constant bullying that she's getting from, basically, in my opinion, jealous scientists from all over the world who really just are upset that a woman of her stature. She's not a confrontational person. She's not, she doesn't start controversy. Her work found the results. She didn't go looking for anything. Her work led her to these results. Anyway, we feel it's important to support people like her, and we hope you join us in this cause. All right, guys, sit tight. We will be right back with the weather part of our broadcast. Don't go anywhere.
Do you like this show? Give us a thumbs up. Want to support us more? Share to your favorite social media platform. Buy a t-shirt or become a Patreon. All links are in the description below.